Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Imagine a world map, one that is alive, constantly shifting and never truly at rest. Every border, every connection, every region is in motion, shaped by the invisible hands of politics, economics, and culture. The lines of power and influence are being redrawn right before our eyes, as if the world itself is rewriting its own story. What once seemed permanent is now fluid, and the old certainties are giving way to new realities. The old centers of gravity in the West, places that have long set the global agenda, are now feeling a pull from new directions. Emerging cities and regions are rising, their skylines and ambitions growing taller with each passing year. The BRICS group, once just an economic acronym, is expanding its reach and ambition. What started as a coalition of emerging economies is now lapping at the shores of Europe, creating ripples that are felt across continents and industries. For decades, the world has operated under a Western-led framework, with established rules and familiar faces at the table. But now, more countries are seeking alternatives, demanding a seat at a more inclusive and representative table. The BRICS group has become the most prominent symbol of this quest for change, with recent overtures towards nations like Turkey and Sweden signaling a new phase in global dynamics. The group is no longer content to remain on the sidelines, it is actively shaping the future. Turkey, a long-standing NATO member and a bridge between East and West, is now openly interested in joining this alternative bloc, challenging old alliances and forging new partnerships. Meanwhile, a Swedish media outlet is building bridges with the BRICS world, opening channels for dialogue and cooperation that would have seemed unlikely just a few years ago. These are not isolated events, they reflect a broader, accelerating trend toward a multipolar world where influence is shared among many centers of power, and no single nation or group can dictate the global agenda alone. As we stand in late 2025, these movements are forcing everyone, governments, businesses, and ordinary people, to reconsider the world they thought they knew, and to imagine what comes next in this ever-evolving global story. To truly understand the present and the shifting dynamics of global power, we must look at the origins and evolution of BRICS, a group that has steadily grown in influence over the past 2 decades. The term BRIC was first coined in 2001 by a Goldman Sachs economist, grouping together Brazil, Russia, India, and China as the world's most promising emerging economies. At first, it was simply a catchy label for investors, highlighting these countries' rapid economic growth and potential to reshape global markets. However, these nations soon realized they shared more than just economic momentum. They saw a common interest in challenging a global system long dominated by Western powers, which often set the rules for international trade, finance, and diplomacy. This shared vision led to their first official summit in 2009, marking the beginning of a new era of cooperation. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, transforming BRICS into BRICS and expanding its reach to the African continent. This addition not only increased the group's global representation, but also brought new perspectives and priorities to the table. Today, BRICS aims to foster deeper trade and investment ties among its members, while also working to create financial institutions that operate independently of the Western-led system. This includes efforts to reduce reliance on the US dollar and promote their own currencies in international trade. The creation of the new development bank and the contingent reserve arrangement are concrete steps toward building a parallel financial architecture. These institutions provide funding for infrastructure and development projects and offer financial stability in times of crisis. BRICS now matters more than ever because it has evolved into a significant geopolitical platform. It offers an alternative path to development and strategic autonomy for many nations, especially those seeking to diversify their partnerships beyond traditional Western alliances. As tensions with the West rise and questions about global stability become more urgent, BRICS's appeal as a counterweight to Western dominance continues to grow. Its members are increasingly seen as voices for the global South, advocating for a more multipolar world order. For many around the world, BRICS represents the promise of being rule-makers, not just rule-takers. A chance to shape the future on their own terms and contribute to a more balanced global system. The year 2024 marked a pivotal transformation for BRICS, the coalition of emerging economies that has steadily gained global influence since its inception. At the Kazan summit, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE officially joined the group, with Indonesia set to follow in 2025. This expansion increased the bloc's membership to 10, prompting the rebranding to BRICS Plus. The move was seen as a bold step toward reshaping the global balance of power. The expanded alliance now represents about 45% of the world's population and over 35% of global GDP, putting it in direct competition with the G7. With such a vast demographic and economic footprint, BRICS Plus is positioned as a formidable force in international affairs. Each new member brings unique motivations, but all share a desire for a more balanced global order, increased economic opportunity, and a stronger collective voice on the world stage. For Iran, joining BRICS is a diplomatic lifeline, offering a way to counter international isolation and access new markets and partnerships. For the UAE, it's a strategic opportunity to diversify its partnerships beyond traditional Western allies, strengthening its role as a global business hub. For Egypt and Ethiopia, membership means access to new sources of finance, greater influence in international negotiations, and a chance to amplify Africa's voice in global affairs. Russian President Putin declared that BRICS now represents the global majority, describing the group as more inclusive and influential than ever before. This expansion is highly strategic, enhancing the bloc's control over vital resources, key shipping lanes, and major trade routes that connect continents. BRICS Plus now accounts for over 30% of global oil production, giving the group significant leverage in energy markets and the ability to influence global prices. The group's push for trade in local currencies directly challenges the dominance of the US dollar, signaling a shift toward a more multipolar financial system and potentially reshaping the future of global commerce. One of the most surprising developments is Turkey's open interest in joining BRICS. In early 2025, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan confirmed the country is exploring BRICS membership, a major shift for a NATO member long seeking EU entry. Frustrated by stalled EU talks, Turkey is now seeking new strategic options. BRICS membership would open new markets, investment and financing for Turkey's infrastructure projects. Politically, it would amplify Turkey's global voice and align with its goal of a multi-vectored foreign policy. However, Turkey has not received a formal invitation, and joining would create complex challenges with NATO allies. The US and others would see it as a drift from the transatlantic alliance. Still, Turkey's public consideration of BRICS signals the bloc's growing appeal, even to key Western partners. While Turkey's interest is political, a quieter shift is happening in Sweden. In March 2025, Sweden's News Voice signed a cooperation agreement with TV BRICS International Media Network, joining a global content-sharing platform. This isn't a political alliance, but a soft power move. BRICS, reaching out to influence narratives and foster understanding in Europe. News Voice's CEO said the partnership will help Swedes better understand BRICS and its vision of a safer multipolar world. TV BRICS distributes news and cultural content to over 80 countries, aiming to bypass traditional Western media filters. This partnership is part of a broader battle of narratives, as BRICS seeks to present its own story directly to European audiences. In today's information age, shaping perceptions is a crucial element of global power. The rise of BRICS Plus is best understood through its numbers. With 10 members, the bloc now includes 3.6 billion people, nearly half the world's population. Its economic output, measured by purchasing power parity, exceeds 35% of global GDP, surpassing the G7. The inclusion of energy giants like Iran and the UAE makes BRICS Plus a powerhouse in global energy, producing over 30% of the world's oil. This gives the group significant influence over energy prices and challenges the US petrodollar system. BRICS Plus has created a partner status for countries like Nigeria, Malaysia, and Thailand, opening doors for closer cooperation. Around 24 countries have applied or been invited to join in some capacity. For many, BRICS Plus is a pragmatic choice, offering new markets, investment, and a growing economic ecosystem less dependent on the West. The bloc's economic and strategic weight is a magnet for nations seeking greater autonomy. BRICS Plus is no longer just a political statement, it's a practical alternative. BRICS' growing influence and Turkey's interest are sending shockwaves through Europe. For the EU, Turkey's flirtation with BRICS is a wake-up call, highlighting the consequences of stalled enlargement. Europe and the US have long viewed BRICS as a challenge to the rules-based order, but some now argue that engagement, not antagonism, is the smarter path. The Swedish media partnership reflects this pragmatic approach, seeking understanding rather than opposition. These shifts are changing public perceptions, exposing Europeans to new narratives about global power. The debate is no longer distant. It's about what it means to be European in a world where Europe is no longer the sole center of influence. Experts are divided on what BRICS expansion and outreach to Europe mean. Some Western analysts see it as a threat, arguing BRICS is a vehicle for Chinese and Russian ambitions and could destabilize NATO. They warn that Turkey's interest in Sweden's media partnership risk undermining Western unity. Others, like Helga LaRouche and Professor Richard Sakwa, argue a multipolar world is both inevitable and desirable, a correction to post-Cold War imbalances. They see BRICS as a platform for the global South to pursue development on its own terms. For them, Turkey's actions are rational, and Sweden's media deal is a step toward dialogue, not division. BRICS, they argue, is not anti-Western but non-Western, and its diversity is a strength, not a weakness. We are living through a period of profound transformation. BRICS's expansion and Europe's tentative steps toward it are headline events in the birth of a new global order. The old map is being folded away, a more complex multipolar world is emerging. BRICS now represents nearly half the world's population and a third of its economy, a force that can't be ignored. The G7, NATO and the EU remain powerful, but they no longer have the stage to themselves. A multipolar world could bring balance and new cooperation, but also competition and instability if rivalry prevails. The challenge for global leaders is to manage this transition peacefully, focusing on shared interests. For citizens, understanding these shifts and engaging in informed debate is now a civic duty. The story of BRICS and its global role is still being written, and its next chapters will shape all our futures.